Tech. Hello and welcome to what we're calling What the Tech, which is a behind the scenes look at the things that we do at Stage West involving any of the technical aspects of what we do here. Today I'm going to be doing a demonstration on how to build a theatrical flat, which I have a couple of examples of right here. This is the front side, this is the back side. These are what we use to make all of the walls for our productions. These are things that we use over and over again. We have these in stock 4 foot by 8 foot pieces, and we use them in basically everything that you see at Stage West. Our scene shop is currently in the middle of the renovations that are happening in the studio space. So we're here in the Jerry Russell Theater doing this demonstration. So everything that I'm going to be doing is using portable tools, handheld power tools, and things of that nature. So for this demonstration, we're actually going to be doing a scaled down version. Instead of doing a full 4x8 piece, we're going to make a 2x4 piece. And I have here a piece of leftover Luan, which is a sheet stock. This actually came off of the set of The Children. As you can see, there's some of that wall texture on the reverse side, but this side is pretty clean, so this is what we're going to use. This material is already 2 feet wide, and the first thing I'm going to do is measure and mark the length at 4 feet. And what I like to do is just measure both sides of the material, make a mark, and then use a straight edge to make my cutting line. So now that I've drawn my cut line, I've made a little makeshift work table out of some sawhorses and a piece of leftover plywood, and I'm going to clamp this down to the plywood, leaving about an inch or two of overhang from the cut line to the edge of the table. I'm going to use my handheld circular saw to make this cut. But safety first. We don't need that. Okay, so the first part of the framing that we're going to make are the rails, which are the top and bottom piece of the frame. They run the entire width of the flat, so we're going to cut these, 2 of them, at 2 feet wide. There's 1. And there's 2. The next pieces that we're going to cut are the stiles, which are the sides. And they're not going to be a full 4 feet. Some of you may not know, most people do, but if you refer to a 1x4 or a 2x4, it isn't actually 4 inches by 2 inches. A 2x4 is really 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches, because when you're building a stud wall in a building, you would put a 1/2 inch of sheetrock on top of it, which then builds the whole thing out to a full 4 inches. So our 1x4s are really 3/4 of an inch thick, which means we need to subtract that much off of the top and bottom. So if you 3/4 of an inch plus 3/4 of an inch off the top and bottom is 1.5 inches. So instead of being 4 feet, we're going to make this 3 feet, 10.5 inches. There's 1. And there's 2. The last piece we're going to cut is the center support, called a toggle. Normally you see in a full 4x8 there would be 3, but since we're doing a pared down version, we're just going to do 1. And again, that's not going to be the full 4 feet. You'll subtract the 1.5 inches because you have the side pieces. So that's going to be 1 foot, 10.5. There you go. So now we're ready to assemble all the pieces that we just cut for the frame. And what we're going to use for that is a little bit of wood glue, and a pneumatic staple gun. For the framing assembly, I'm going to use some longer staples. These are 1.5 inches. You can probably go a little bit shorter, but these are going to give a really good hold. You load that up. Attach your air hose. I have the PSI set to between 90 and 100 PSI for this framing work. What you're going to do, you're going to take your rails. I like to start with one, set it down. I have a nice speed square here so I can adjust. Make sure that I'm assembling it nice and square. I'm going to take the wood glue here and just put a little bead right there on the edge. Get that, you want to get this edge nice and flush, which is right in line with each other, no overhang or underhang. I'm going to check square one more time. And then take my air gun. And usually 3 or 4 staples is all you need to do. The glue will really do the holding once it sets. And do the same thing on this side. I'm going to check, make sure it's flush. Yep. And now we're going to do the same on this other side. So once again, I'm going to take glue, put a little bead down the edges. Use too much glue, it can get really messy once the wood gets compressed by the staple. You have a glue spill and you have to wipe that down later on. And now for the toggle, I want it to go right down the center. So I'm going to measure, double check that I have actually made this the right size, and it's 4 feet long, so that's good. I'm going to mark center there at 2 feet. And then slide that in there. Line that up with the mark that I just made. There's a little bit of warp to one of these boards, but that's okay, we can flex it back into place. But while you're doing that, you want to always make sure that when you're using an air tool, that you keep your hands far enough away from the staple gun where it's shooting, so that you don't accidentally get a staple in the finger. Here's this piece that we cut out earlier. This is the facing. It's got a little bit of this leftover texture on the reverse side from when it was used in a previous show, but that's okay. We're just going to use the clean side on the front so that it can be painted later. Now for this, I'm going to use shorter staples. I'm going to take out these 1.5 inches, and I'm going to put in these 1/4 inch staples, because this is only 1/8 inch material. And I'm actually going to turn the PSI down on the air compressor so it doesn't shoot all the way through the Luan. I'm just going to lay this aside for a second, and I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to make a line all the way around this frame. Doesn't have to be a thick line, but we want this to stay together and last for a long time so that it can be used over and over again. This right on top there. What I like to do to make sure that I'm staying square and nice and flush, I line up one corner, put a staple in that, and then I come to the other corner, make sure that lines up, throw a staple in that, and then I come around to the other side, make sure that these corners are lined up, and put a staple in each one of those. I like to do about 6 inch spacing between my staples. Now to get lined up for these staples down the middle to get make sure that we hit the toggle. What I like to do is, you see on the side where I installed the toggle, you can see where the staples go in. So I like to take a square and then just follow the line of the square. I can take it, flip it over to this side. And I know that I have hit that 1x4 that's running right through the center there, even though I can't see it. And there you have it. We built a miniature half-scale version of our full 4x8 flats. We'll hang on to this, and our assistant technical director and resident scenic painter is going to come show us some painting techniques on it later on. All right, thanks for joining.
Hey, this is Dana Schultes, executive producer for Stage West Theater. I hope that you enjoyed our programming today. If it is something that you can do, please consider giving a gift anywhere from $1 to $1 million, whatever is comfortable for you. You will be helping to keep Stage West healthy. And don't forget, during 2020, all gifts up to $300 are eligible to be deducted from your taxes. So take advantage. Thank you again for joining us. I hope you have a great day.